Greetings and welcome to another video. My name is Stallion, and today we're gonna be doing something a little bit different, right? Usually, I've been recently doing some videos with my clips of issues in the game, things I don't find correct, that are unbalanced or whatever, and I say why that is. But today we're doing something a little bit different because a lot of people have been asking me, "Yo, what formation do you play? What do you like to do? Blah blah blah. It looks like you play possession." I'm like, "Yeah, I play a possession-based game, but I do it with a 4-3-3." And a lot of people were surprised and are like, "Yo, let me know your setup." And so here it is. This is my ultimate 4-3-3 guide. This is basically all my experience with a 4-3-3 over 2 years. I started playing it consistently since FIFA 18. FIFA 18, I hit Elite 1 with it multiple times, 37s, 38s. It was enough for top 100 though. Back in the 39 only gets in era, and this year it's also gotten me some decent results. Second weekend league of the year, I hit a 29-1, which got me verified, and then obviously I played a qualifier with it at the start. My team wasn't great, as you can see from the screenshot, but we did well. We beat a few notable players. Sorry for the name dropping. You just gotta have a little bit of a weird flex, but it was a good dub with the 4-3-3. 8 million coin difference against like many people at that stage, but. Yeah, this is like my experience with it. We recently hit Elite 1 with it. This on the screen is the team I used to get Elite 1. You're going to notice that Awar is a concept player. That's future star Awar. And that's just to show you the team I just hit Elite 1 with. When I'm actually going to go into the tactics, you're going to see Ruud Gullit because I recently just completed him. But he was not in the 4-3-3 that I used this weekend, but his work rates are the same as Awar, so that the point will still stand. Nonetheless, with 2 years under my belt of playing 4-3-3, and I'm not talking about the fourth variation, in my eyes 4-3-3-4, the one with the cam, is kind of like a bit of a cop out of a 4-3-3. It's very similar to the 4-2-3-1, similar shape. I'm talking the 4-3-3 with the 1 CDM and the fifth variation, so the false 9. So those are the two ones I mainly played. And yeah, I'm going to give you a rundown of everything. We're going to start with the personnel, and that includes players that work for me, players that I think you need in terms of what they need to bring to the table per position and their work rates, which is really, really, really important in my opinion, at least in my experience. Then after that, we're going to get into the tactics, the instructions, blah, 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 and all that stuff. But again, disclaimer number one, if you're going to see Gullit in the custom tactics, it's because I just did him and it won't let me go into custom tactics with obviously, what's it called? A concept player, right? So it's going to say Ruud Gullit, but know that I've been playing with Awar for the good part of the last few months, and he's perfect in that position. I guess another disclaimer is that this is not really meta. Like, I probably make my life 10 times harder by playing this formation. There's a lot of situations which are uncomfortable. It's really easy to get countered. You only have one CDM, and like you can get really countered hard, especially with my tactics, but it's how I play. I enjoy it. It makes the game more fun for me, and it might be able to be the same for some of you. But if you're here looking for a tactic that will get you top 100 or whatever, this might not be it. This might be it. Who knows? But a tactic never makes a player, especially when you're playing the 4-3-3. This is just how I play the game. Without further ado, though, in terms of your personnel, so we're going to look at the template for the false 9 now, which is the 4-3-3 fifth variation. If we're going to start with fullbacks, in terms of work rates, I wouldn't really say you need too much that specific. If both of your fullbacks are high-low, you might run into some problems. I used to run flashback Dani Alves, and he was a problem for me, but Marcelo wasn't a problem for me. So for fullbacks, I feel like it's kind of situational. Someone like Marcelo ended up working for me, but by far the two that have worked for me the best are Versalico on the right. I have the Champions League version, as you saw earlier from the screen. He's got great jumping, which you kind of need to have someone who can jump with all the people that try crosses. And high medium work rates, high is fine as well, but high medium just for some reason clicks best with me. and we'll get into the instructions later. Mendy, personally, the flashback one is by far the best fullback I've used this year. He turns quick, and I'm going to show you why that's important later in terms of tactics, because you're going to form a bit of a chain on both of your flanks, and we'll talk about that more later. But you're going to need to be able to turn with your fullback. So having one that turns allows you to decide, okay, this is where I might start my build up and stuff, because your fullback is going to be really important. For me, Mendy is perfect. In terms of center backs, I don't know why. For me, it always helps to have one who's a medium-high work rate. So when I say medium-high, I always put the offensive work rate first and defensive work rate second. So medium-high means medium offensive work rate, high as the high defensive work rate. And so David Luiz is medium-medium. And Eder Militao is a medium-high. I like that combination a lot. I don't like having two medium-high center backs. I like to have them, one being a medium-high and the other one being either a high-medium or a medium-medium. That usually works best for me. And here, Militao is kind of like our speed demon. He's insanely fast, which is kind of, you need one center back who's like insanely fast to track back anytime you get cut open or a lob over the top. You're going to need one of your center backs to be able to do that. David Luiz can kind of do that, but he's, obviously not as nimble feeling as Militao. He's more like my powerhouse center back, but that's pretty much all you need for your CBs. We all know what the good CBs in the game are. I guess I would also add that for how I play, I tend to have more success with center backs with high aggression stats. So someone like Maldini, who some of his cards don't have that high of aggression, I never really had success with him. I might be, messing up here, and maybe he has 99 aggression. I'm not sure. But Militao and David Luiz are two players with good enough aggression stats that make me enjoy their presence. In terms of your CDM, pretty standard. And now the midfield composition in terms of work rates is important, very important. This is like the most important thing. And shout out to Smarba, actually, Smarba TV. If you don't already follow him on Twitter, make sure to do so. The guy is also, a high-level Elite 1 player who used to make content. I don't know if he's going to make a return, but let him know to come back and help me lead 4-3-3 Nation, because he gave me a tip. Basically, I was struggling, and he plays the 4-3-3 a lot as well, and I was struggling with my midfield, and I was like, something is off. I would put in a midfielder with a high work rate, and it just would feel off. And basically, he's like, try this. I was already doing this, right? My CDM was already always a medium high. I got De Rossi now, but it could be like a Vieira, Kante, whatever. Someone with a medium high work rate. That's perfect for CDM. And, De Rossi's not, with how you play the 4-3-3, it's also a bonus if you're a CDM, can kind of dribble and left stick dribble, and you can turn and weave with him. De Rossi can't do that, so he's actually a liability for me, but I'm a Roma fan, so I just take that and I just ignore it, and I just get on with my life, even though ideally he'd be a little more nimble as a CDM in a 4-3-3. But medium high here. And then your other two CDMs, one has to be a high medium and one has to be a medium. So obviously it says Khalid here, but like I showed you earlier, I used to use Awar, and Awar is a high medium and Perisic is a medium. And I play him. This is the future star Perisic. He's perfect at CM, not only because of work rates. So obviously having a medium high, a medium, and a high medium is super important for me in this midfield. But also because of their stats. But before I get into that, the work rates is really important because, I've put in high players here as my third CM, along with a high medium and a medium high. And every time I put a high work rate player, something feels off. I don't know what it is. It never happened to me before FIFA 19, but specifically for FIFA 19, this combination works the best. If I stick in a Team of the Year Modric in here, not that I could afford him, but I imagine something would just stop clicking for me. Maybe it's just my imagination. Maybe a Team of the Year Modric would really help. But thanks to Smarba's insight, I made this adjustment and it worked wonders for me. Now, in terms of personnel itself, your CDM obviously is gonna be your main defender, but it helps if he's kind of like a good passer as well, because he's kind of your regista. He's gonna be a bit of a playmaker. Then your two CMs, one of them has to be able to defend. Obviously, Khalid can do whatever he wants, but before him, I had future star Awar, and he was perfect. With an anchor, he had like 87, 88, 90. I don't even know, 90 defending. he was incredible. So De Rossi's my main defender, but I had someone else alongside of him who could also defend. Worst comes to worst, you can go into a 4-4-2, a 4-2-3-1, and you got your two CMs, with Aouar and De Rossi. Could be anyone else, right? And but at the same time, they have to be dynamic. I remember Nainggolan used to be that player back in the day. Good defensive stats, but he could shoot, he could pass, he could dribble, blah, blah, blah. Aouar is perfect in this game. He can be that second midfielder. The third midfielder is more your creative, your more offensively minded player. Perisic is kind of a bonus because he does have 70 interception stats. Someone like Nedved would be perfect as your third, except he's not a medium player. But yeah, Perisic is not a good defensive player by any means, but with 73 interceptions, he's almost like a third good enough defensive player, especially when you've already got De Rossi and Aouar and or Khalid, someone like that, next to him, right? So that makes a huge difference when all three of your guys can sort of intercept, but not really. Perisic can't really, but again, he's not there for that. Even if he wasn't good at intercepting, just the fact that he's medium is good enough for me. Ideally here, you'd play somebody who's more prone to being creative. I put Perisic in here as well because it gives me a lot of length in the midfield. And these guys are really important because these are kind of your main opportunity creators, Perisic and Khalid / Aouar, who he used to use back in the day. For your center forward, honestly, I've had no problems. I have Eusebio. I was blessed by the Icon SBC, the baby one where we all did one. And well, we didn't all do one, but I did one. I got 89 Eusebio, so I stuck him in there. But I used to use Neymar, high medium work rates like Eusebio, and Neymar was godly at that position. Probably better than Eusebio because, believe it or not, Neymar turns much quicker, much more swiftly than Eusebio. Eusebio is a little bit clunkier than what you'd think, at least the baby version. In terms of the wingers, I mean, I got Willian and Best. Willian's a high, Best is a medium. I really like medium or medium-low work rates offensively this year. I'm not sure what it is about them. They just offer me something that works better for me, but I don't think it matters too much for the wingers. I guess if they're different, it helps in the sense that it allows you to get some more dynamic AI movement. But again, the most important aspect in terms of work rates is in the midfield. In terms of personnel, obviously you're going to want your center forward to be someone who's nimble. Eusebio is obviously nimble enough, but I'd like him to be more nimble like a Neymar. But I guess Eusebio is a better finisher, so it kind of closes off there. And they also really need to be able to pass. You can't have someone I don't know, a striker who might have insane shooting stats but has 60 passing. That's just, it's not going to cut it. It's not for me. Maybe for others it doesn't matter, but with how I play, the center guy has to be able to pass. And then the wingers obviously need to be quick. They need to be nimble. That's really the most important thing for them. In terms of the tactics themselves, I have it set for 4-3-3 fifth variation, which is the false nine, and then the second variation, which is just the center forward is a striker, and it's a little bit wider. I'll show the false nine first, and this is the one I've been using more recently, and it's kind of boring. 7 bars of depth with my depth. Because players drop back so low anyways that I kind of need to push them off. No matter what you play, players just run back for some reason. I don't like the defensive AI. I don't like tactics in general, which is why I don't touch them too much. This year, tactics are easier to understand, but in my opinion, they're a bit too stale. They don't allow you as much customization, but that's a whole other topic to begin with. Basically, balanced. I know it's super boring. I guess defensively, I've also used press after possession loss, and I've had some success with it, but you're really risking a lot here. And then balanced. I don't really like pressure on heavy touch. It sounds like the no-brainer option because it literally tells you they would hold their shape unless they take a bad touch. But at the same time, I want to press when I want to press. I'd rather be manually defending myself. And so I go with balanced with, it's fine. Just leave it as it is for me. 7 bars of depth. Offensive style. Again, it's they force you these presets that are just not good enough. No reason to play possession. The formation itself is already built in a way in which if you play balanced, it allows you to play possession. Long ball and fast build up. I tried fast build up, but it was just a mess. Long ball, no need. You don't have enough central players at the striker position. Balanced works the best, and I go with 7 bars of depth because the false 9 is one of the more narrow 4-3-3s, and I want to abuse the width a little bit. Plus, with some instructions, the width sometimes cannot actually be enough, which is surprising. You should always feel like you have a ton of width in the 4-3-3, but with some of the instructions that I run, which I'll show you later, you'll see why I need to add the width. And then players in the box, I do 4, because essentially what's going to happen is that if you're going to really need your help or the help from the center mids. A lot of people against me seem to drop back or have a lot of people in the box. There's no reason to crowd that box anymore. So I don't go all the way to 1, but 4 is a good balance where I have options outside of the box. And then when I need to go in the box, I can just trigger a run myself. But these are the tactics I use. And for instructions, this is what happens, right? Fullbacks, stay back at attacking because it just works out the best. If I need to use them offensively, I'll do it myself. Centerbacks, you don't touch them. CDM, cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking, and cover center. We actually didn't have this instruction last year for cover the center, and I feel like it would have made the 4-3-3 a lot better last year. But yeah, I like it a lot. It allows you to keep the CDM as the anchor of the 3. And obviously, when you defend with a 4-3-3, you're going to have to player switch a lot to make sure the 3 CMs are always in the right position. That's where the tricky part comes in, but I enjoy the struggle nonetheless. And for the right CM, which is going to be your more defensively minded CM out of the 2 CMs, you just leave them default, right? Even cover wing, I don't put cover center on all 3. It doesn't make sense to, because you need these. The 2 CMs are kind of like the guys that do whatever the anchor should. The anchor is always supposed to be in the middle and cover the center, right? I don't need more people covering the center. I need these guys to be dynamic. Maybe I need my right CM to push and press up on the far right corner of the field. Same with the left CM. So I both leave them cover wing because they need to be dynamic in where they cover. And most of the time they'll cover the center anyways, so it's fine. The left CM, however, is your most offensively minded CM, and you're going to send him to get forward. Everything else is default, but it's important that you get him forward. He then becomes kind of like a second striker to your center forward, and yeah, it works for me. And then for the center forward, I leave him on default. Although I have enjoyed getting him on drift wide sometimes. That kind of gets fun sometimes. Now this is where it gets really tricky. The 2 wingers are the most 2 important ones. This one is pretty standard, right? Cut inside, getting behind. That's what I do with him. And the reason I do that is because you then create a chain between the left back, this left center mid, and the left winger. Like you'll notice from a lot of my clips, a lot of the things that I showed, a lot of my attacks came from the left side, and that's because when I play this formation with these tactics, my left side is like my left chain. It's just a chain, and the ball rotates. These 3 rotate together, and then you build up across these 3, and then spaces open up with the center forward. You might be able to switch to the other wing, etc., etc. And then where this thing gets really interesting is with the right winger, because you put him on getting behind, but you also put him on chance creation for free roam. And what this does is this actually drags Willian out. It's almost like free roam almost feels like a false 9 instruction more than anything. And it's really, really cool because it's better than false 9, because if you did a false 9 here, well, actually, there's no false 9 option. But if you did a false 9, he would drop back to your CDM, right? But with free roam on chance creation, he actually like drops back and goes towards Eusebio. So at that point, like again, it comes back to the earlier point. You have a chain on the left, and when eventually you open up crevices and spaces, and you got Willian in the middle waiting for a pass, but this also creates a gap in the right wing, and that's where your right CM starts abusing that, and he pops forward. So it's like really interesting, and it's like the most dynamic you can get in FIFA. I don't think you can get more dynamic than that. You know, usually people could put cut inside, getting behind on both the wingers, and I like this tactic because you have like almost an asymmetrical shape when you're attacking, because Willian again cuts in, drops inside, he becomes a bit of a central player, opens the gap on the wing, and then your right CM abuses that, and often you'll be like, is my right CM playing as winger right now? No, it's not. It's just the winger's free roam creates all these new opportunities, and it's just fun to play. Now for the 4-3-3-2, this is what I used at the start of the year to get top 100, and I played some pro qualifiers with. You know, this is a good formation, but you can get really isolated, as you can imagine, with your striker, because you don't really have like the 4-3-3 false nine is exactly like a diamond, the 4-1-2-1-2 diamond formation, except your two strikers aren't central. They're your wingers, right? But at least you have a lot of men up until like 3/4 of the way up on the pitch. With this formation, your striker is not a center forward anymore, and your wingers are slightly wider. So you have to be a really good technical dribbler to do this formation. I left stick a dribble a lot, but the same personnel is needed. The same work rates are needed, especially at midfield. The difference is that with this formation, if I usually switch to this, if I notice, if I want to play 4-3-3 no matter what, I switch to this. If my 4-3-3 false nine approach, where I have the left chain, doesn't work anymore, because even though the left chain approach and then the right winger as a free roam cutting inside is really like interesting, it's very like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? You can't switch around to the other wing. I mean, I guess you can, but like if that type of thing, it's the type of thing that if it doesn't work, you got to switch into something else because of how very specific those instructions are. And it's a lot of it's even though I put 7 bars of depth in my 4-3-3 fifth variation, it's still not as wide as this formation. So when that doesn't work and I need to exploit the wings, I just switch into this, and which is why, same instructions on the fullback: stay back, CDM, same thing, cut passing lane, stay back while attacking, cover center, and then get forward on your creative CM, defaults on your other CM, the more defensive minded CM. Then nothing on the striker, but again, you could put drift wide on him, and then stay wide getting behind on both wingers. We don't do the whole free roam thing on this because we want, at this point, the goal here is not to create a chain on either side and then have, the CM push forward like he did in the false nine and then have the winger push back. No, that's not what we want. Or I mean the winger cut inside. That's not what we want. What we want here is to play off the wings and have the two CMs push forward, and those are gonna be your chance creators. This is all about the CMs linking with the striker and the wingers staying out wide to drag the attention. Whereas in the previous one, in the false nine, it was all about chaining everything on the left, the right winger coming back inside and opening up the space on the right wing for the right center mid. Okay, I know that might have been a bit of a mouthful, but that's what it is. And in terms of the tactics for the 4-3-3 second variation, pressure, I mean, defensively it's the same. Offensive mindset is the same. The only difference here is that I keep it on 5 width because it's already really wide, and I go 6 players in the box 6 bars of options, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 bars for players in the box because, like I said, the whole purpose of the 4-3-3 second variation is to get the two CMs to push forward. Now, if you've gotten up to this point, I really appreciate you watching all of this. You are the real MVP, and this is why I'm showing you specifically these clips. These clips are what everything I've spoken about look like when it comes into action, right? From the 4-3-3 false nine or 4-3-3 second variation. These are the types of goals that when I score, I'm like, yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. So this is with the false nine. And this is a really good example of the left wing chain, right? We have the ball with Perisic, and this started as well. Sorry, I'm just going to go back. I'm sorry. I know it's a tease, but it starts from the goalkeeper, right? So into build up, the CDM, the center back, Perisic, left center mid, into the center forward, back to Perisic, into the left winger. No, I was wrong. We go back to the CDM, and now we're performing the little bit of the left chain. Left back, into left winger, back into the left CM is pushing up. He fouls us, but we keep going, and this is perfect. Remember how I said the right winger has free roam? Look where he's dropped back. This is exactly what I was speaking to. He was here, drops back because of free roam, and because he drops back, right center mid abuses, pushes up, right? This is the dynamic movement I was talking about. And now we have a right CM up there, and it creates interesting situations, and we score this really nice combination play. But it all happens because of the left chain movement on the left, and just the engagement from the left chain, and then the right winger free roam pulls back, CM goes up top where the right winger usually is, and then we just pull off a combination plays. It's up to you to find the combinations, but these are what the shapes look like when you play the 4-3-3. Whoops, we went up too far here. In the second clip, this is what it looks like in a sort of faster transition. CDM gets the ball, and you can see your left winger exploding, and you can already see like your the right CM is right here, ready to exploit the winger, because the right winger is, I don't even know where he is. He's like all the way back here for some reason. All right, that's a bit weird. Free roam looks weird, but that's like the free roam coming into play. But obviously with the left flank chaining, and we just abuse the left wing, which can be repetitive at times, but we just cut inside, roulette to get the space, cut in. Boom. These are the types of goals that you're going to see a lot of, hopefully, if you play the 4-3-3. And then the next few clips are from that goalkeeper movement video where I don't score, but nonetheless, the clips are great because left chain, man. It just shows you the left chain. Again, George Best, who is our right winger at the time, free roam. Look where he's chilling. He's all the way down here. He's not chilling up here because he's on free roam, and that means our right center mid is now going to become the right winger attacking player, and it just creates these dynamic different movements and these cool situations. This is our right winger, by the way. Yeah, our right winger was sent through on the left side. That's the power of free roam in a 4-3-3. That's what I love so much about it. And unfortunately we couldn't score, but the shapes, again, same game. The left chain on the left flank is so good in the false nine, and again, it's the free roam Best, man. George Best, right winger, free roam, drops in, right CM, pushes up. This is what I'm talking about, bro. This is what I'm talking about. And it doesn't get more exciting than this if you're a bit of a tactical nerd. And these are just the plays that you can expect to make. Maybe you'll probably have, some of you will probably have better clips than I was able to get. But nonetheless, I wish you all good luck in the quest to bring 4-3-3 Nation back to its glory days. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Let me know if the tactics were a complete failure for you. You never know. Nonetheless, until next time, peace out.